I am very, very excited to introduce someone to you. I first met Nick in 2017, and we've worked together on and off in a variety of ways. And one of the things I love about Nick is he is genuinely courageous. He demonstrates courage in all kinds of ways. And I'm going to ask him to give you a kind of a potted history of what he's been up to, and you'll hear about some of that. But he's a best-selling author. He's a coach doing transformational coaching work with people in all walks of life, and particularly with musicians. He's a lovely guy, and I'm very proud to welcome him. Please unmute yourselves and give an uproarious applause for Mr. Nick Bottini.
Woo! Hi, Jamie.
Nick,
hi, everybody.
Great to see you, and thank you for joining us this afternoon.
It's my pleasure.
The idea of these conversations is I want it to be sort of the equivalent for everyone of eavesdropping while we're talking over a coffee about, talking shop about doing our work. And obviously the theme of the weekend is high impact coaching from a principal's perspective, which I know you've been doing a ton of. So just to get us started, would you just take a couple of minutes to kind of tell your story of what sparked your interest in coaching and this understanding, and then what your journey's been?
Yeah, sure. So my background was in music. I was trained as a musician, and ended up working in education. So I was working as a head of music, mentoring and sort of helping young people. And I guess my heart was always in the human side of teaching music. It was the human component, and seeing people transform actually. And so I was interested in my own transformation. Ended up on your program, Thriving Coaches Blueprint, and I just got really, really deeply touched by how different the principles were to anything else that I encountered before. To begin with, it sounded, I think I spent the first lunch break with a notebook, like kind of mapping across about how it seemed to be fitting exactly with some of the NLP stuff that I'd come across. But slowly that all unraveled, and I realized actually this is way simpler, way more true, way more impactful, and way quicker a way of working with people. And when I realized that not only was it making a huge impact in my own life, but virtually no one in the music industry knew what it was or knew that it even existed, I was like, oh my God, how can this possibly be? How can this possibly be? There must be someone who, someone needs to do something about this. Who's going to do this? Who's going to do something about this? And, I looked on Amazon, and there was no book, or there was nothing there. And then to begin with, I was amazed. And then, like very soon after that, I was really scared and kind of overwhelmed by the fact it's like, if I don't do something about that, no one is going to do something about that.
Yeah.
No one's going to do something.
What I heard was, at first I was amazed, then I was horrified to discover it.
Yes, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So you're working with people in all kinds of different positions. I know you're also doing stuff with charities for musicians and all kinds of. Will you tell us a little bit of the stuff you're up to, and then we can dive into the transformation?
Yeah. So I'm predominantly on a mission to spread this understanding with people who are working in the music industry, and so I spend most of my time working with musicians. So. Performers, people who are new to performing, people who are developing their audiences or the business side of what they do as a musician. But I'm also coaching all kinds of other people as well. So a couple of coaches, some teachers, and people that excite me and interest me to work with. I think that's pretty much it. I'm involved in some charity work as well, but it all revolves around introducing it to the music industry.
Right. And what are some of the transformations that you're seeing in working with clients? Like, what are some of the things that have, well, both the transformations you're seeing, but also what have you realized that's helping spark those transformations with your clients, helping facilitate those transformations?
Well, people come to me for things that they want help with, like maybe connecting with their audience, or maybe feeling more like a real musician, or feeling more like a real coach, or feeling a bit more powerful in their own life, and they don't necessarily understand like why they're having the problem, but they present it at a certain level. And then what then happens is that story that they come with just unravels, and it becomes about them enjoying their life and being more fully present in their life, and being more fully who they truly are. I think it's about that story unraveling. That's really the theme that I see sort of happening again and again. And you asked me like what is it that I've seen that has helped those transformations, and I think the more I do this, the simpler this whole thing looks. There's so little for me to do here. All I'm finding myself doing is just, if something sparks my interest, I'm just curious about it, and I ask them about it, and I say, well, this is how I see this. How do you see it? They see it like this, and then we compare, and somehow through that process of comparing how I'm seeing it and how they say they're seeing it, and something magical happens. I think that's the coaching process, as far as I can tell.
But I love that. And but here's the thing that I don't hear, Nick. I don't hear you going, they say how they see it, and I see how I see it, and then I rebuild how I see it to fit with what they're seeing. What you say is, they say how they see it, I say how I see it, and then how they see it kind of unravels and something more profound comes into place. How do you account for that?
Because they see what it's made of. They see what their experience of life is made of, and that it's theirs. It's not being done to them. They're not a victim of it. So it's like by kind of pottering around together in their reality, the shonky bits are kind of exposed as the phantom that they are, and then they go into kind of free fall into what's true, and that can be that can be really scary.
Yeah,
and it can be scary for a coach as well, when someone's in that place. But I guess the more comfortable I am with doing that in my own life, and within a coaching conversation, means that like you were saying, yesterday, that they feel like I've got their back.
Yeah, I really like that. I was going to when I heard you say that, I was going to refer back to yesterday, because I think that just being available as someone's going through that transformation is so powerful. What are some of the transformations you've seen with your clients in this kind of work? Maybe some of the ones that surprised even you.
Well, I think something that's surprised me is that actually, no matter how high status or high, how high up the music industry someone seems to be, we're all ridiculously the same in terms of having the human experience. And so, I've seen people come to me that literally worried about a big festival appearance, like it's someone that you would think that they wouldn't be needing that kind of help. So I've seen them, in quite a state, and then being really happy, being on stage again. And that's really beautiful. It's really beautiful to see someone enjoying music again. And what I also love is people becoming sort of emboldened to really live a much fuller life. So for example, there's a singer-songwriter that I've been working with for about sort of 6 months, and she came to me for wanting to connect with her audience more, kind of almost like a kind of social media kind of, she wanted help on that sort of side of things. But it's really become about her being really fearless and being utterly uniquely herself. And it's just beautiful to see the limits that someone puts on themselves, and kind of the rules that they say, I'm not allowed to be this, or what if people think I'm a bit quirky and weird, or what if I'm not doing it the way I should. All that stuff just falling away, and then it really sings through how she shows up on social media, and it really, it's just every session is like, who's she gonna be this time? I'm just delighted to see how she
well, and I can see it in the way you light up when you talk about that.
It's a joy. I mean, it's great. This works great, right? It's fun. It's a real blessing to do.
It's very cool. And the thing that was occurring to me as I listened to you was that you were talking about the simplicity of it. Do you see kind of, I don't know, insights or milestones or things that have made it simpler and simpler and simpler as you've gone along, or has it just been purely gradual? What is it how do you account for the simplicity of it?
Like my changing relationship with coaching, you mean? Yeah.
Because I remember for me personally, when I first started doing coaching in general, 1 billion years ago, it was like there was so much to remember, and all these models and all this stuff. And now I feel like while I still have access to that, it's like I'm paying attention to very little of that as I go along, and that looks like a journey of insights. And
gotcha. I think a big one, probably the biggest one for me, has after I realized that I wanted to be this thing called a coach, letting go of all the stuff I thought that meant, so like now I feel like literally all I need to do is to be a lovely person and be a useful person in somebody's life as fearlessly as I possibly can. And it doesn't matter whether I'm saying fancy coaching phrases or calling it intake, or there's no techniques or kind of like how I should be. It's just literally, what would this person benefit from me doing? Who can I be with this person that would help them? And it doesn't have to be my words. It can be the silence that I provide. It doesn't even need to be a conversation. It can be just the fact that I'm kind of looking out for them. There's a kind of loving presence that no one needs to train to learn how to do. It's like it's that's inbuilt, And I think something that's been huge for me has been realizing that I don't need to be a special kind of person. I'm like in the same way that you don't think twice about helping a family member or a friend or someone that you see in need, and there's something kicks in and you just do what you need to do regardless of the consequences because you care for them. I think it's that, and then all the nice words and questions and all that stuff, it's all kind of nice to have, and it's part of what you encounter as a coach, but the operating software or whatever is something that nobody doesn't have access to.
I love that, Nick. It's in a nutshell, it's care. Care. It's that feeling of love and connection, and then the action that's inspired by it. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So is there anything that, like, because we're having a kind of nuts and bolts conversation about what we do and that sort of thing, is there anything that people here should know about kind of the art of coaching and impact and that sort of thing that we haven't touched on, or that we haven't touched on this weekend?
Well, I think it's a beautiful art form that requires it looks to me like it's more about a kind of way of life, like a kind of mastery, kind of deepening journey, and I think the more in integrity you can be, in other words, like you mentioned about the Gandhi sugar thing, like that really spoke to me yesterday, because I've realized that actually the more I do the work for myself, good things happen in coaching conversations. And I don't think it's true to say that you can't be putting on a good show, and behind the scenes things not really being integrated and it not come across. They can't be separated. So your own grounding in your own life, your own the truth of who you're really being, when the doors are closed or when the Zoom session is switched off, I think that's the thing that's the truth of where things are. So I think just not neglecting your own work, your own kind of deepening in this.
I'm sure that's true, Nick. I'm sure that's true. It seems to me like that's why grounding, the foundations in your own life, that the way it strikes me is that the way you're living is what you have to share with your client. Yeah, that's beautiful.
I've missed that. You've probably been saying that for years, and I have repeatedly missed that. And it's only through realizing, oh shit, I can't. You can't get out of this. You actually have to be grounded. You can't pretend. You really need to. You got to search out for yourself.
You can't outrun your grounding.
No.
It's built in. Nick, where can people find out about you if they want to find out more about your book? And Just Play is the name of Nick's book, by the way, and about what you're up to.
Yeah, so my website is nickbottini.com, and the book's on Amazon, and I'm on Facebook, so people can connect with me those ways.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Nick. Will you guys all unmute yourselves and give Nick a big round of applause? Thank you.
Thank you.